friends and fellow artists. Miss Katie and Dottie are here. We're going to show you how to paint beautiful tulips. Now, it's just past tulip blooming time, so I bet you saw some here recently, but I'll show you how to paint some. We're going to use maybe some oil pastel. If you don't have them, you can just do watercolor or marker if you'd like. So let's look at those materials and we'll get started. I'm going to show you how to do this piece in watercolor and oil pastel. So you will need watercolor paper, some scrappy paper, pencil, good eraser, paper towel, watercolor, soft synthetic watercolor brush, some water for your watercolors. And if you decide to, you can do a different medium, but if you have oil pastels, that's what I'm going to show you. Of course, you can do this in just marker, watercolor with black Sharpie, and then painted. So I'll show you this method, and then you guys feel free to use whatever materials you have. So before we start on our real paper, let's go ahead and practice some tulips. Tulips are a flower that come up in the spring, and they're kind of this U shape. So you can start by drawing a U, big U like this, and then they usually have petals that kind of come around. So you might draw one like this. I'm drawing a little extra hard so you guys can see this, by the way. It's always better to draw lightly. Then I'm going to draw another one. So the first one comes down and the other one kind of comes from the middle. Okay, it doesn't come necessarily from here, but it could. It totally could. But I'm doing a little overlapping here. And then there's sometimes going to be a little bit of another petal you might see over here. Okay, so we can work on this one here too. Let's see what it looks like if we do this. It's not too bad. You could do it like that as well. You might have a more rounded tulip that's a little bit more closed up, and then this time you're gonna have it a little bit more round at the top. Maybe it's even showing more of one side of petal. This one's a little bit more closed up. Okay. Let's look at one that's even more closed up. We're gonna do this U shape, and then we're gonna make pretty much one really big petal like this, and then maybe part of another petal, and then maybe just a little bit of this one. So you can kind of incorporate all of these types of shapes of tulips in your drawing for your finished piece here, and kind of play around with it. So practice your tulips first. Now, once you get on your real paper, don't be drawing them teensy weensy teeny tiny. That's going to be very hard to work with oil pastel. So you're going to want to draw them a little bit bigger. These are probably around 2 inches or so. So I'm going to get out my watercolor paper. And do you want long stems? If you want long stems, you should draw your paper tall. Do you want shorter stems? Draw your paper. My paper is almost a square, so it wouldn't matter too much. I think I'm going to hold my paper this way. And now, before you start putting in all the tulip foliage and the stems, we're going to draw all of the flower heads first. So I'm going to start kind of envisioning where they're going to go. Now, you may be tempted to draw them in a straight line, but if you're looking out into a garden, you're probably not going to see tulips or any other flowers growing in exactly a straight line across. So consider staggering your tulips. Up, down, up, down. Some of them might be very close together. Some of them might be a little bit farther apart. I'm going to draw one up here. I'm going to draw one with a lot of one side showing on this one. I'm going to draw one down here and just kind of fill it in. Like I said, I'm drawing a little darker than I normally would. I'm going to try to draw, let's see, I have 2, 4, 5, maybe draw 10 or so on this bit, on this size paper. We'll see if I can get that many. I do want to have some room for foliage down here. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 8. I might draw one more in here somewhere. You know what else we could do is we could overlap them a bit. That might be nice. If you want to go that route, you could draw them a little bit layering on top of them. Now, I would recommend that you draw them, just draw right through your other tulip. Draw right through it. And then when you're done, erase the tulip behind it. That way you don't have to try to match up lines. Just draw right over it, and then we'll erase one. Okay. Maybe if you have a lot of tulips, maybe the ones in the back are farther away, so it's like a field of tulips. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go with this, I think, and then I will show you how to do the foliage. Okay, so I'm starting to practice some leaves. Tulip leaves are distinctive. They are long and tall leaves like this that are pointy at the top and bigger at the bottom. So you might draw a couple leaves, and maybe they're going over the other leaves. Okay, so maybe a stem, maybe a double line for a stem, and then one long line that's pointy, and then starting at the other end, a curved line that curves back into the other line and is pointy at the other end. Tulips actually get all of their nutrition to grow the next year from the late summer sun, or the early summer sun, the late spring sun, and their leaves absorb it for the following year. Okay, so you don't ever want to cut down all the foliage off of your tulips after the blooms are all done blooming. Just leave them, let them get their nutrients, and then they'll come back beautifully for you in the spring. So let's put those stems in. In fact, I might just go through and put in all of my stems first. Putting in all the stems, and then this one, okay, now here I could go through my other tulip and then erase on top, but I think I'm just going to skip over. So I'm going to go here, here, skip here. But you could just draw straight through it like we did with our flowers, like this, and then erase it if that's easier. So I'm going to erase it now. And you know what? I'm going to make this one just a little bit bigger. Now for those leaves, curved line pointy, curved line coming back towards the other line pointy. And then that's all you do. Now some of these leaves may be behind here. It can get a little confusing, but maybe just draw the important ones in the front first, and then you can kind of add other ones as you need to. So as you can see, a lot of my lines are going to be overlapping, and I'm going to need to erase. I might just erase this as I go to keep it simple for myself. So whichever leaf you want to be on front, erase that leaf out so that you can get rid of all the stuff behind it. And then this, yeah, I'm going to stick with that. This one, I might have some of my leaves going in the back, like so. I need some kind of taller leaves, I think. Dottie, do you want to come back and draw some tulips? Can Dottie draw? I feel like this tall tulip needs a taller leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and make this leaf taller coming back through here. And maybe this leaf taller as well. And it's kind of behind everything. And then this shorty guy has his own little shorty leaves up here. Okay, so like I said, it can get a little confusing, but just do your best and get some leaves in there. Now, since this is going to be oil pastel with watercolor, we're not going to line it. We're just going to go right into our oil pastel. I happen to have kind of a bigger set here, but I'm going to just kind of show you in basic colors in case you don't have all these colors. We're going to practice a few. Tulips come in specific colors, but they do come in a lot of colors. Some colors that they don't come in are going to be blue. Okay, blue. I've never seen a green tulip. It might exist. But we're going to stay in the warm colors. The pinks, the reds, the oranges, yellows, purples. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically kind of outline our tulips in our colors. That's the basic of what we're going to do. But we can also put in some other colors too, just to make it a little interesting. So a couple different colors is what I'm saying. So maybe for an orange one, we might outline it in orange. And then we might put in a little bit of yellow with it. And maybe even a little orange too. Kind of get them blended together. So you can kind of blend your colors a little bit on your paper. Okay, so let's get back to this. And I think I'll do a few of each. So I'll do a few red ones. Red is a classic tulip color. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to work by doing all of the ones I want this color first. And I'm going to kind of stagger them. Maybe three for now. And this one actually might be kind of a red and peachy color. That might be kind of pretty when I paint it. So I'm going to go ahead and do those all. Now, notice I'm not dragging my arm through this at all. If I drag my arm through this, it could be a disaster. It could be very smudged. So try to keep it clean best you can. I'm just going to put a little bit of smudgy color on there. Maybe a little extra red. Maybe this part of it back here is a little darker. Okay. And then let's do some orange ones. So for the stems, I'm going to do maybe just a darker green. Maybe I'll outline it or just color it straight in too. You could do that. Be really careful you're not smudging this up. It's going to be tricky, but you got to watch your arm, that you're not dragging it straight through. Kitty Joe would like to see what's happening up here. Cats are typically not the best painters, in my opinion, but, you know, there's always time to learn. Right, Kitty Joe? What do you think? Kitty Joe loves to go out and smell the flowers. Yes, she loves it. All right. Let's get, oh, I see one spot I missed, but let's get our watercolor stuff out and look at how to paint this. So as you can see, there's still a lot of pencil on here. If you're very, 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 very careful, you could get a little bit of it off. But if I go to rub it off like this, it's just going to smudge my drawing. So I might want to lightly dust it off with a paintbrush or blow it off, but try not to smudge it. So I know you guys have heard me say this a million times, but think about mixing a fabulous color rather than using it straight from the box. Always carry your paint over here and get a nice wash before you just use it straight from the box like this. Carry it over here, get some water with it. Make one nice color here. I think I'm gonna make like a peachier, like a warm red that maybe is a little peachier for my red ones. Maybe, yeah, maybe. I think I'll use this actually. It's kind of a orange red, and lightly paint over your tulips. Where you have oil pastel, it will resist the watercolor. If I paint over this very hard, then it's going to disturb the oil pastel and it's going to mess my brush up too. So I'm going to paint carefully over it, and I'm also going to, oh, there's a hair, a cat hair, Kitty Joe. This is why cats are bad painters. I'm also going to paint just up to my tulips. I'm going to be careful not to get all outside the line, because if I get all outside the line, I'm going to have to really wait for everything to dry. But I've got a nice barrier here. I could probably go ahead and paint my yellow one here in a second. So for my orange though, I think I could make a really nice, like a really nice peach color with this. Start here. I'm gonna add a little bit more orange and maybe a bit of yellow. Remember, if you want a color to be lighter, add water to it. And then for my yellow, I'm gonna go with kind of a warm yellow. Not a plain yellow. I'm just gonna warm it up a bit with some orange. That's nice. Very careful around here. Tulips are often not this purpley, like blue purple, but more of a red purple. Yeah, that's good. So to mix up a green that is not straight from the box, as we know, Miss Katie does not like those straight from the box colors, we're gonna try to get like a nice grass green that's a little darker and maybe a little earthier. So how do we do that? Let's start with green, and then we will add blue to it. If your paint is ever like wet, see how, I don't know if you can see how sticky this paint is. It's just goopy like that. That's because moisture was trapped in the box, and it just got real goopy. So don't use it like thick. Use it like watery. So just take some on your brush and add water to it. And now I'm going to take some brown and see if this will make it like a nice earthy grass green. Maybe a bit more green. I think we're going to need a bit of this. A little extra bit. Sometimes you can even add orange. I'm going to add some yellow. Orange to it, and if you add orange to it, it'll make kind of a nice sap green. Clean that yellow up. Let's see what this looks like. I think that's kind of nice. I think that will work. So I'm going to start back here. I'm going to be really careful not to get this next to the flowers that I've painted. At least I don't want them to be touching, so they will blur into each other and mix. Okay, so things are getting a little bit more dry, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint the earth a little bit and maybe some kind of darker grass behind this. So I'm going to take the same green that I had because I'm finished with it, and I'm going to make a bit of a darker green, and then maybe some brown earth would be nice. So it's kind of essentially the same color, just darker. And then I kind of want to have my brown mixed up so they can kind of blend into each other a little bit. I'm going to start down here with my brown. And then move into some deeper green and kind of let them blend into each other, I think. This is going to be like kind of the background of the leaves. Maybe some grass, if you want to call it that. And I'm not going to put it up too far, just maybe to around here or so. And possibly, I mean, we could go up a little higher. We could put some in the background here. Like maybe there are some more leaves back here that it could suggest filling in the leaves that we didn't really draw. Okay, and now I'm going to mix up a color that's going to be for the sky. And you'll want to have clean water for this. If you didn't notice, I did get clean water. And if you have a big brush, use a big brush to paint the sky. It's just going to take less time and it's not going to be as streaky. Make sure you mix up enough, but you don't need obscene amounts. If you have way too much, it's just going to be hard to get the color you want exactly. You'll have to use lots of pigment. So to make a sky color, you could use just blue like this. We've all seen this color, lovely color. Or you could use this and then add, say, just a touch of purple to it. Or you could add a touch of, let's see if I add a touch of brown to it. See what that'll do. It might make it a tiny, tiny bit gray. Like a little bit of a dusky sky. Would that change it much? Maybe I'll make it like that. I think that's better. So I'm going to start at the top since my ground is still probably wet. And I'm just going to start right up at the top here and work my way across and down. And I'm not going to stop until it's all painted. I'm going to have to paint in between stuff a little bit, but shouldn't be too much trouble because my oil pastel kind of acts as a bumper. So when I get to here, if I think my green is dry, but I am painting, then I'm just going to paint almost to it. Just leave a tiny bit of a white line of space there. Hello friends, I'm back and it's all dried. I think it turned out really nice. I think a variation would be to put some leaves or some lines on the leaves. That might be nice, but there's a lot of extra special twists that you can put on it with your own creativity. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing you at our next Zoom lesson, and good luck with your tulips. Bye till then.